This is the House of Andrea. I'm Andrea Lee Matthews, an artist, photographer, and clairvoyant medium. And in this podcast, we explore what it really means to thrive as a soul having a human experience. How to connect with our energy, transcend those edges and boundaries that we create for ourselves, and open to the full spectrum of who we are. If you're ready to see yourself differently, to sense more deeply, and to expand into more of who you are, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Lee Matthews, and if you are new here, welcome. This is a powerful space. It's an incredible space where we just talk about all things energetics and tapping into our gifts and accessing everything that we are, both in the human and the energetic. And of course, if you're here every single week and we are deeply connected, hello, welcome back. I am so grateful that you're here. This week, I want to talk about staying in trust with who you are and with what you're receiving from the ether, from the energy field. And this can be a real challenge, particularly when life wants to life and life wants to throw constant challenges at you, and it wants to pull you out of that knowing energy, back into that humanness, back into the mind and the wanting to fix and the wanting to problem solve from that real human place. And it can be really disorienting. It can be really disorienting for one day to feel so etheric and connected and grounded in your channel and your ability to be intuitive, to sense and see and ideate and create from that God zone, that higher source energetic state. And the next day, when something very human arises, like a challenging personal situation or something to do with shelter, food, safety, belonging, when something in that realm challenges you, you start to feel very, very human again. You start to react. Perhaps old conditioning, old beliefs start to play out again. And you're like, how? How, when I just half an hour ago felt like I was operating in this fully aligned, fully connected space, and now I feel disconnected. I feel like a wreck. The decisions that I'm making, the reactions that are coming through me, they feel really foreign. And this can be particularly difficult if you're in a space where being intuitive or channeling or being plugged in and connected and even leading others in this space, if you're a coach, if you're a visionary, if you're a leader, and you use your gifts to complement the work that you do, to strengthen that work that you do as the authentic version of who you are, and you get pulled back into this humanness, you can often be left with those questions of, well, who am I to even do this work? Who am I to even talk about intuition on one day, or channel, or do work in this spiritual or energetic or just source connected creative space, if I'm behaving like this, if I'm thinking like this and acting from this space? It can leave us really questioning who we are. And I want to reassure you that even in those moments where you have those human days, where things feel like they are pulling you out of your connection to source, your connection to source is never actually broken. And you can get better and better at, even amongst the chaos, even amongst the humanness, still feeling that connection, still feeling that place that you have with source, as source, being of source yourself, being made of the same matter that source is, just rearranged into this incredible configuration that is a physical matter of your human body. Your connection to source is never actually broken. It's just the mind and the pressure and the story that's making that disconnection feel really, really prevalent. I want to share a story. As you know, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, my husband and I moved out to Ivanhoe, which is a beautiful green leafy suburb of Melbourne, 10 months ago. And we've been out here 10 months, and we just got issued in the last week or so a notice to vacate because the landlord wants to sell our apartment. And this has put so much pressure on myself, on my husband, because we thought we were grounded. We thought we were in place while we were building everything that we're building and the life that we are creating out here. And all of a sudden we've been told, no, sorry, you need to go. And no matter how many conversations I had with the real estate agent, with the landlord around, look, could we stay until the property is sold? Can we, is there any negotiation? The hardline decision is no, you're out and you're out by this date. And that's only 7 weeks away. And 7 weeks is really, really tight. And when we get into these human type feelings and type emotions, it can feel like all of a sudden that beautiful divine self that we are, it's buried, it's disconnected from this very human need to find shelter, to find safety, to be grounded in yourself. And I have found myself over the last week holding the most incredible amount of pressure. And I can tell you, even although that conditioning, even although those old patterns crept in and have made me feel very, very human, the one thing that has been consistent is my trust in my connection, my trust in my essence, my ability to channel, my ability to listen, my ability to receive. And it's so interesting when life puts these big obstacles in our pathway, which feel big anyway. I mean, when we get down the timeline in the future and we look back and be like, oh, that's the thing that happened, and we got through it and it was fine. But when you're in it, it feels big. It feels like it towers over you. But I've been reminded when I have taken those moments to come back to stillness, to come back to that fire that exists in the core of my being, to just take a second and close my eyes and tune into that, you can feel that pulse, that source, that light, that energy that is within you, that no matter what is happening in your external circumstances, that feeling is eternal. That energy is eternal and it is powerful. And so we can actually still source all of who we are. We can still listen, we can still receive and channel and download amongst the human feelings. And I think this is really powerful to remember, because when we can tap into that inner feeling, that inner power, that knowing of who we are, we can quiet the mind and go in and source that feeling. We can then pull that or build that outwards from ourselves into our reality, to know that no matter where we live, or no matter the external circumstances in the physical world, it doesn't change who you are or what you are here to create. I had to get over this really big block of feeling like building this House of Andrea brand and creating the work that I want to create, getting over this idea that it had to be done in a certain place, a certain type of lifestyle. Because when you tune in to the force that exists within you, this power, and when you remember that this power is connected to everything outside of you, everything becomes possible, and the external circumstances, the external reality doesn't matter as much. You realize that if you are to create something incredible from an event, an experience, a fashion line, a project, a piece of art, something that is in service of this world, that is not boundaried by where you are. That is an energetic drive. That is an energetic substance that gets to get poured into a thing, and it can be done from anywhere. There are so many powerful stories from history of incredible innovators, creatives, and leaders creating things from the most unusual of spaces. And when we remember this power and we can match the frequency of that, we can recall these moments across history, or we can recall this knowing that exists within ourselves, because we have been around for so many lifetimes and we've seen this, we've witnessed this and experienced this in past lifetimes beyond this lifetime. If you can't recall this energy or feel this frequency from the existence that you're in right now, go back further. Go back further into the past lives that you've had where you've either experienced this yourself or you've been around other incredible visionaries who have done this and you've witnessed it, you've seen it, you've experienced it, and draw on that frequency, match that frequency to be able to continue to do the work that you do, continue to use your voice, step into your power, connect to everything that you are here to connect to with your unique abilities and your unique gifts, despite where you are. It doesn't matter what the physical reality looks like, because the physical reality will always, eventually, in the perfect timing, catch up to where you're meant to be, catch up to the world and the reality that you're creating. It will eventually reorganize itself, because remember, it's energy. Everything physical, everything invisible and physical is energy, and it can reorganize itself based on intention, based on will, based on how things move and flow around us through the power of mindset, through the power of connection and energy. And the physical reality will eventually catch up and manifest into the form that it's meant to be in. But we can't use the external world or the circumstances that we're in dictate what it is that we're here to create. And this is where coming back to knowing exactly what your whole frequency, your whole soul is, has been, and will be is so incredibly powerful. Because in those moments of despair, of things shifting and moving, we can tap back into that knowing and remember why we're here, which then tips out into our work. It expands out into our work, how we show up, what we do, the way that we do it. And it becomes manifest in the most powerful ways that we couldn't even have expected. And so even although Matt and I have no idea right now where we're going to live, we've done hours and hours and days of house hunting so far, and nothing has really come up that feels like home, that sits right, that is good for the chapter that we want to be in. We haven't found anything, but there is this inner knowing and this trust and this fire that exists within my soul that knows that I am going to be okay. And the House of Andrea is not going to be impacted by this period of having this shifting sand or this moving ground underneath me, because how I show up and who I am and the energy that I'm connected to and the things that my soul is here to create doesn't depend on where I live, and everything can shift and change. I think there's another thing that we often get caught in is we feel like we're having to commit to things for a lifetime or a long-term thing. This feeling of being locked in can't change. So for example, when we shift, we are likely going to have to sign a lease for at least 12 months, right? And there's big penalties here in Australia if you break your lease. You know, you're on the hook for that entire 12-month period. And so there's this tendency to feel like, oh, I'm going to be trapped. I'm going to be locked in to this commitment that maybe is not right, is not where I want to be or how I want to live. And the mind can get in the way with creating all of these stories and creating all of these reasons why something isn't safe or you shouldn't do something or need to second guess the moves that we make and the decisions that we make. But everything really is fluid at the end of the day. And if I need to break a lease, it's not the end of the world. The universe will always guide us to the places that we're meant to be, the things that we're meant to experience. And right now I have this deep trust that this whole tumultuous period of being asked to leave our home way earlier, years earlier than was expected or promised initially, there's a reason for this. There is a reason why we get put through the pressure cooker of situations changing, of foundations shifting, of having to face parts of ourselves that perhaps are not in alignment with who we are becoming. There is a reason for all of that. And when we're in it, we don't necessarily know the reason, but there is so many invisible, divine, source-led forces at play around us all the time that are shifting and changing and moving us into the experiences that we're meant to experience. And this was something that came up in the channel recently. We had our live Q&A over the weekend. If you're not in there, please feel free to join us. It's a powerful space where you get to ask questions and I channel on them at the end of every single week. And one of the questions that came up this week was around, how do we know what is predetermined for us and what is free will? What is ours to choose? And I was talking a lot in that channeled transmission around how our soul chooses to go through certain transitions, certain experiences, and certain things that help it grow as a soul over its lifetime, over its journey of different incarnation experiences in multiple lives. And so those decisions are made. They're kind of like the architecture of the soul's blueprint or the soul's journey. But how we experience those growth lessons, how we flow through all of that is our free will, is our choice. And so at some point, my soul made the decision to be in situations where I've had to hold secure pressure, where I've had to hold significant pressure, where I'm going to be building an incredible, powerful brand as a visionary, as a creative director, as someone who is fully committed to being in connection with source and allowing that to flow through them whilst being in these types of situations where things are not solid, things are not grounded or quote unquote safe. There was a decision that my soul made to go through an experience like that. And then based on the free will and choice that I've had throughout this lifetime, it's led me to this particular experience. And so at some point in the future, I will look back on this experience and will be like, oh, I see now. I see now this was a beautiful, incredible growth expansion period that my soul needed to go through to be able to get me to this point where I'm now going through this experience. And so there are so many ways in which we make choices that affect how experience plays out here on earth, but it is all beautiful. It's all divine, even the dark, the heavy, the difficult. When we do the healing and when we come back to ourselves, when we understand who our soul is and the power that resides within it and what it's here for, what its gifts are, it makes it so much more delicious and delectable, even in the hard moments, even in the heaviness and sadness, because we are here living this incredible human experience that is growing us, that is stretching us and pushing us, pushing our limits to get to this even higher and higher levels of capability, levels of self-love, levels of connection, to be able to create and lead and inspire and just change the world in so many different ways. And when I say change the world, that might be change the world for one person that you dearly love, or you know that your soul is here to be part of their journey. Or it could be changing the world in terms of changing the whole world through something that you create, some magic that you bring in, some art, some experience, some music, some whatever it is. Whatever creatively speaks to you, it all makes sense at the end of the day. And everything that you go through is part of that experience. And so that's where tapping into this innate knowing, this power that exists within you, even in those difficult moments, just brings you back to such a powerful knowing. And it means that you can feel the sunlight on your face and smile and trust and feel powerful and feel grounded even when you're in the moment of chaos, of busyness, of sadness, of grief. You can still have those moments and be like, I am feeling all of this. I am holding all of this duality, all of this experience, everything that I am here to witness, to feel in the depths of my soul and allow it to expand me, I can feel those moments while still being fully connected to myself. And remembering that connection can be as simple as just taking that moment, like just removing yourself from the busyness, from the noise, from the situation that you're in, and just breathing, popping your hand on your chest, or, doing some tapping, doing something in a physical way. It could be somatic movement, whatever feels really good for the body that you're in, for the soul experience that you're having. Just coming back to that moment of I'm just going to tune out everything else around me, and I'm going to connect to the fire, to the flame, to the energy that exists in my soul, even if it's the tiniest, faintest little fairy light. If that's all it feels like in this moment, if that's all it is, I'm going to tune into that right here, right now, and feel that. Because that is your spark, that is your essence, and that is your connection to source. Because remember, if it's within you, if you can feel it in you, then that is source that is everywhere. It's in you, and it's also around you. It's also connected to you. It is a 360-degree, infinite connection that exists. And if you can just find that and feel that, you can remain connected through no matter what is going on in your world, no matter you having those moments. I've had a lot of anxiety crop up lately, because that is one of the human things that when I'm under extreme pressure tends to pop up. That feeling of anxiety, that pressure on your chest, that feeling like you just want to vomit, to throw up, or just a level of stress that can come over you. Like, I've had that over the last week. I sent a message to a girlfriend of mine, and I know you are listening, beautiful soul, you know who you are. I sent her a voice message, and I was like, I just feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm just gonna cry. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm drowning. And that was a very human experience that was happening to me, that was real and present in my body, but it didn't disconnect me from my source. It didn't disconnect me from my gifts. It was just a moment of human experience that I could experience, that I could reach out for help on, that I could share, that I could move through, but to also in that moment prove to myself that I am so powerful beyond measure, and that I could hold that level of anxiety in my body, but still also hold my divinity, hold the power of who I am at a soul level and what I'm here to lead, and to continue to show up every day to serve in the channel, in the House of Andrea, in the podcast, in the content that I create, in how I lead and serve my clients to connect back to this power within themselves, whether they're in the 7-day encounter experience with me, where we're really unpacking that level of soul, of frequency, of past life gifts, of future timeline gifts, tapping into all of that. I can still show up and serve, knowing that I'm backed by source, that I'm in the field, that I am connected, while still having a very visceral human experience of having to figure out where I'm going to live and what roof is going to be over my head, and trying to pack up my life to be able to shift to that once it lands. So it's incredibly powerful that if you can remember who you are, remember your source, remember your power, despite what's going on in your world, just find that little spark within you, and remember that that spark is connected to everything and can expand from that tiny little spark out into your chest, out into the rest of your body, out into your field. You can grow that spark, that connectedness, that fuel into everything, so that no matter what is going on around you, it could be a storm, an absolute chaotic storm blowing around you, you're still held. You're still grounded, like we talked about last week on the podcast. You're still grounded in your physical present moment of your body, of your soul, of your experience. You're still grounded and connected to everything. That means no matter what happens in your world around you, you can just keep moving forward as the incredible human to continue to create, to build, to play, to craft, to share, to speak. You can still do all of those things because you are divinely connected in all ways, always, and forever. If there's anything that has popped up for you, a question that is burning off the back of this episode this week, I encourage you, join us in the channel. You can drop it in our Q&A thread and I can exclusively channel on that for you to help you really come back to this fuel, this power that is within you, this connectedness. If you want to get in closer proximity to unpack this for yourself, DM me, reach out, send me an email. I'm going to be opening up so many different opportunities for us to be able to work together to get you into the connection that you're really craving, whether that's creatively, whether that's to be able to do this work like I do on behalf of other clients. I'm going to be opening lots of different doors and opportunities for you to be able to step in and deepen as well. So stay connected. I love you, and I'll see you back here again next week. If you're not in there yet and you want to get into the private Telegram space where all of these audios drop every day, as well as all the art, the conversation, and the behind the scenes, go to www.andrealeematthews.com/private podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Andrea Lee Matthews, and you can find more about me and all of my work at andrealeematthews.com. I'll see you in the next transmission.